or understand our school district's reluctance to change? Is it fear? Is it racism? Is there one word, or is it lots of words?
In all fairness, the superintendent has made some changes. He describes it as trying to turn a big ship. You can't do it in one swoosh. It takes time to turn a big ship, right? And that's true in part. But when Superintendent Jackson said, we will not suspend children out of school anymore, she said it, she put it on paper, she signed it, it stopped. And let me give you some history. The reason I can sit right here next to my friend, in my intro, and you don't really have to remember much, the Southern Poverty Law Center filed 5 OCR complaints. Okaloosa was one of those complaints. And so they were once in a position very much like Escambia County. Let's not, I mean, yes, the demographics are different, and people like to talk about income. But when it came to kids, Okaloosa and Escambia County looked a lot alike, to the point that the federal government thought that the work Amir and I do was sufficient enough and grounds enough to open an investigation. The superintendent changed in Okaloosa County. She came in, she made some executive decisions. We're here today toting their success, okay? So while the numbers and the socioeconomics might be different, statistically, Escambia and Okaloosa were filed. I filed Escambia first, Okaloosa came second. They were filed 90 days between each other. I did that. Amir's now doing that work. I remember those days, okay? So the stats were very much the same. But a superintendent said, we're not going to treat kids like this anymore. I'm going to work with the community. I'm going to work, in fact, Superintendent Jackson does something quarterly where she works with churches to have a social service fair. I don't remember what they call it, but all of the kids who have been suspended or arrested or have been truant are invited to a community fair at different churches around the school district, and they're partnered with services, whether that be a mentor, whether that be a food pantry, whether that be employment. She works with the churches to do that. So
And I have a comment on this. As someone, who's been working with the Escambia and Okaloosa as well, and Bay County, on getting policy changes in effect. In Escambia, I met several times with the General Counsel, Donna Waters, and we drafted an agreement that would lead to the Southern Poverty Law Center withdrawing our complaint. We did this in Flagler County. We just finished drafting the agreement in Okaloosa County. And Donna said that, she's ready to put it in front of the school board. It's ready. The superintendent didn't support that. And it's not like we were asking for pints of blood. We were simply asking to keep children in school, arrest them less, train teachers, and draw the lines between school discipline and delinquent or criminal activity. Basically the things we were talking about tonight. But because of the disconnect between the board and the superintendent, it's not moving nearly as fast as it should have been. And we even had board member Hightower support when she was chairwoman. So it's sometimes just the politics of a school district can prevent a lot of change from happening if everyone is on the same page, and goes back to what Sergeant Venuti said. You have to have people agreeing to work together.
I'll just say this and I'll be brief. So part of your question is it racism? You're not going to hear me say that our superintendent, our school board, our teachers, our school resource office are racist. You didn't hear me say that. But we can't ignore the disparity. And that school discipline and arrest disproportionately affect children of color. And while I don't think it's racism, I do think it can be a lack of training. I think it can be bias. You can even have African American teachers who are more hard on African American students. That's bias, that's not racism. And so it's imperative that training is a part of that. But first, and foremost, you have to acknowledge there is a problem. And I think that our school district is responding to community suggestions without acknowledging that there's a problem. They say the community wants us to do something. Okay, sure, we'll do it. It doesn't cost us anything. Okay. If I want to keep them, if I don't want 100 people to show up to the next school board meeting, I probably should do something. And I think that's what they've done. They gave us parent engagement as the first thing. They gave us a matrix, but didn't make it required. They said it's a guidance, so principals can use it if they don't want to use it. And so, to some extent, and I caution saying this, they've been placating the community. But until we acknowledge that there is a racial disparity, until we acknowledge that we're arresting too many kids regardless of race, we're going to continue to see these lackadaisical policies or policies with no teeth.
A couple